Hi, my name is Chantel and this is my husband Sal. Welcome to our newly renovated home.
This house is 40 years old, completely original, was completely untouched. It started becoming quite dated after living in it for 5 years. Before doing this renovation, we actually did a renovation on our upper floor, and we actually did all the work through separate tradespersons ourselves, and trying to coordinate that on our own with our busy lifestyle proved quite difficult. So when it came to doing the main floor renovation, we knew the work would be extensive, so we knew we would need a contractor. So when it came time to choosing a contractor, we did our due diligence and we got multiple quotes. We decided to go ultimately with Behzad and Aria Build because he came to us with a vision and within budget, and also most importantly guaranteed a timeline to be finished. With our situation, we had a child on the way and we didn't want to be displaced for too long. He was the only one who can guarantee a quick turnaround time.
So one of the big things about choosing a contractor was that we wanted to feel comfortable with this person who was ultimately going to really play a big part of our lives for the next few months. Behzad made it a point to make us feel comfortable in all of our decisions. He brought us to previous clients' homes and walked us through. Everyone was very kind, very accommodating, and had very positive things to say about the work that had been done. And I think that really made us feel comfortable in taking the next steps forward with Behzad. I think one of the biggest things with these older homes is that they lack that open layout. And so we had a lot of rooms, we had a good space to work with, but it didn't feel very big because it was all very divided by individual spaces. And that was one of the things that was important to us, was opening it up to give it more of a modern feel. So one of the biggest pieces of the space that's most important to us is the kitchen, because we spend all of our time here. But the space wasn't as you see it behind us. We had some load-bearing walls in the way that were just kind of restricting how big and grand we could achieve this space to be. And so Behzad had a really great idea to push back a load-bearing wall, and that was able to fulfill kind of the dream and vision that we had for this space. So working with the tradesmen has always been a positive experience. Although we weren't living here throughout the duration of the renovation, we did pop in pretty often. And we're always made to feel comfortable within our own home. Whenever we saw things that we felt were maybe out of place or things we didn't like, it was never met with any resistance.
With any renovation, there's always going to be issues that come along the way. Aria Build and Behzad and his team were always quick to address any concerns, whether it was minor cosmetic issues or major issues. They would always be addressed promptly, and he would always respond right away.
It being an older home, we have smaller windows, so it's difficult to get that light to travel through kind of fluidly. So we wanted to source a glass wall. That was part of our initial quote. But then with all of the changes with supply issues, it was difficult to find a product that still fit within our budget. So at one point, we weren't sure if we were still going to be able to have that glass wall that we were initially quoted for. And I can really commend Behzad because he didn't let it go. It wasn't something that he immediately gave up on when he sourced one or two companies and found that it really didn't fit within our budget anymore. He kind of kept going and kept hitting the books, and that was really important to us and kind of showed a lot about his character and how hard he was willing to work for his clients. Ultimately, he was able to deliver a beautiful glass wall. It met both of our criteria, and we're very happy with the outcome. One of the new things that we wanted to incorporate into our home was a mudroom, and so figuring out a layout and a space for it was a little bit challenging. What we ultimately decided to do was change our den into a laundry room, and our previous laundry room would now become the mudroom. But in order for that to be functional, we had to add a doorway from the garage. So that's another change that we made with Behzad and his team. All of the finishes were done by the same millwork trades that we were working with, and they really had some great recommendations on how to create a space that was functional, but was also aesthetically pleasing. So the way the agreement between Aria Build and us worked is it was a really well planned out agreement. It gave us an opportunity to kind of plan ahead financially for what was down the line. It was basically based on completion of certain items, and then there would be a payment due. So it was very easy to kind of stay on track and make sure that everyone was living up to their agreements at that point. Another really interesting thing with Aria Build that they offered, which I personally haven't seen in the past, was the ability to compensate us as clients if the project was not done within the promised time frame.
The agreement was clear and concise, which we didn't necessarily get with our other quotes. Every room was divided, and the scope of work that would be done in each room was itemized and broken down that's easy to understand for the client.
One of the biggest pieces for me personally is finding someone who I feel comfortable with if there is conflict. Because it's inevitable when you're doing a renovation, and understandably, it's a really big financial investment that my husband and I have made. And I never wanted to be in a situation where I felt uncomfortable coming to my contractor and speaking to him about things that I am necessarily unhappy about. So that's something that I can really commend Behzad and his team for. None of my concerns were ever met with ill feelings or a cold shoulder, and I think that personally meant a lot to me. Just the other day I called him about something and he literally drove in a snowstorm the same day to come and address it. And I truly don't believe that many contractors will do that for you. So I think it speaks volumes to the person and the team that we chose, and I would absolutely choose them again in a heartbeat.
So overall, we're extremely happy with the work that was done by Behzad and Aria Build on our home. We're proud to show it off to our family and friends, and we've received so many compliments already, and we just can't wait to make memories in this new home.